There's some food in you. Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. My name is Bradley Ball. It is so good to have you with us. Last week we had from Daniel Taylor, a new free Azure SQL database now available, how to provision and configure. That was also a major announcement by the product group. Bob Ward had announced that at the Free Data Driven Summit for 2023 that we were all there and we did our different presentations. So you want to make sure and check those out once those hit online, but you definitely want to make sure and check out the new free copy and free tier of Azure SQL Database. Then on Tuesday, we had our Azure Data Community Roundtable. On Wednesday, we released row-level security, RLS, now in public preview for Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse. Then on Monday, Daniel Taylor was back again with how to copy Azure SQL DB to a new tenant and subscription using T-SQL. So much to do, so much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. If this is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field, give us a like, give us a subscribe. This is where all the action happens, and we are so glad to see you with us. Wow, look at the number of people online. Great to see you. Let's see a couple folks. We got Henry. And then we also have Jerry, a bunch of different comments in there. How's everybody doing? Then how do you interact with the show? Well, some of these folks have already interacted with the show. All you have to do is make a comment on the stream. And one of my amazing co-hosts will see that comment and they will add it to the show. Speaking of those amazing co-hosts, I am joined by Mr. Josh Ludman, Andreas Pilia, and then he is to peace, love, and harmony what Python programming is to frustration and anger. It is your friend of mine, Neeraj Jafari. And of course, a big shout out to our good buddy, Daniel Taylor, DBA Bulldog, who is not feeling good. So he is out sick today. We love you, Dan. Hope you're doing well. And we look forward to you being back with us next week. All right. So a quick call to action. Why are we here? Well, we're here because we are part of a community. And the one thing that we want to make sure that you do is we want to make sure that you go over and you join the Azure Data Community. Microsoft has the page for it set up. This is where we have a listing of literally hundreds of user groups all around the world. You can find virtual user groups as well. You can find information about the community, blogs, videos, all kinds of great stuff. Go over to the Microsoft.com Azure Data Community page and find a user group near you. So that way you can network, you can have some in-person fun, find out the solutions to the issues that may be facing you, maybe even network and find a new job. Who knows? That's what the community is for. And it's a big part of what we do. I know that we are all very involved in the community. And speaking of that community, after you sign up for the community, you definitely want to be able to get yourself some free training from people at Microsoft, from MVPs, from some of the top consultants in the field. And where you will do that is you'll do that over at SQLSaturday.com. We just had a wonderful event at Orlando last week where we talked about pre-con with Buck Woody. Coming up, you can see that we've got Boston, Belo Horizonte, Toronto, Silicon Valley, Victoria, Costa Rica, so many wonderful locations, many close to you globally throughout. So you want to make sure and head over to SQL Saturday, find that wonderful training so that way you can get free conference access training. It's just fantastic stuff. And while we're talking about fantastic, you want to head over to Data Saturdays as well. Data Saturdays are virtual events that happen throughout the globe. As you can see, there's still quite a few coming. We've got some coming up on the week of November the 18th in Parma, and then we have Slovenia in December. Make sure to head over to Data Saturday and find the different user groups that you can interact with online. And of course, there's one last thing that we want to make sure that we toss out to you. We have this wonderful Microsoft learning group. As you can see, here's a wonderful post from Amy Martin within that group. It's easy to join. All you have to do is click on. There's no boundaries to be able to do so. We are there. The Microsoft Fabric Cat product group is there. Many other users are there. It's a wonderful place to ask questions, get answers, and find out the latest announcements. Plus, it's all free. If you're in LinkedIn, all you have to do is join the group. No waiting. You'll be admitted right away, and we would love to see you over there. Whew. Andreas, that was a lot. Give me a rest, buddy. What'd you do this weekend?
Oh, We went to a children's symphony concert where they had animals on stage and in a full orchestra, and it was actually quite entertaining. My kids had a blast. You couldn't hear a word because everybody was crying, but it was a good time. That's what I did this weekend. Yeah.
I was going to say, but it's wonderful introducing kids to the arts early. It's always very important to do. It's funny how just fundamental they are in the development of children. But no, good stuff. Josh and Neeraj, hop in here.
Well, I was going to say with Andres, it's, we look at it and the transition of family through the years, there's always screaming and or crying, right? The younger kids, everybody's crying. You get into the teenage years and it's screaming girls at Taylor Swift concerts or something like that. And then you get into older kids and Brad's screaming at a Taylor Swift concert. So it really, there's always screaming and crying throughout the levels of life.
And Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Neeraj, how was your weekend, buddy?
Weekend was good. I went to Jersey to one of my friends' place. We had, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys don't know about cricket, but the Cricket World Cup just got started on Thursday. So we had a few matches over the weekend. So a couple of my friends came over and we just watched the match. So it was fun.
I have had cricket explained to me when I was running last year at SQL Bits. And my funny thing is, our friend Gareth always tried to explain cricket to us. But I realized in retrospect, the first time I had cricket explained to me at SQL Bits, I immediately understood it. I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. And I kept thinking, why did it never make sense when Gareth would explain it to us? And I realized we were always out enjoying libations when Gareth would explain it. And it would be probably several hours into the night. And I went, this is the first time I've ever heard the explanation sober.
There was no hope for me to understand it at that point in the evening. No. The one thing I was going to say is, Brad, what did you do this weekend? You asked all of us. What did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I had a wonderful time. So I presented at the SQL Saturday, but and also I did the pre-con. But more than anything, my son William was home from college. He literally left minutes before this to go catch the train to go back up to Jacksonville for the end of his fall break. And it was such a wonderful visit. We had a really wonderful dinner on Friday night after the pre-con. Buck, Josh, Dan, Karthik all came over and joined my family and my kids, my son Zachary's girlfriend, and we went to the Hash House a go-go. Some people had dinner, some people had breakfast. Everybody had fun. And then
I split my meal with Will because I couldn't figure out if I wanted breakfast or dinner. So neither one of us could. So we split. We just cut our meals in half.
I was going to say, I thought it was pure brilliance because I was torn between two things on the menu. And after I watched you guys do this, and it's funny, you were looking for the same thing. And so you split it in two. And it was wonderful. Portions are massive. And then on Saturday, after I got home, we had a nice chill day where we watched movies and we hung out and just spent time together. On Sunday morning, we woke up and had a big family breakfast. And then I took the kids to Hollywood Studios. And we had a full day of just riding different rides and eat different food. And they have raspberry and rainbow nerd candies in the blue milk now. And I was going to say the kids loved it. So we got that. Technically, when you stirred up the raspberry, purple milk.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, we had a great time. And yeah, it was an exceptional weekend. Well, hey,
no shorts?
Plenty of shorts. As a matter of, I was going to say no shorts that we posted this weekend, but I think we were all just devoted to having different family time. We have a lot of saved up content, so we will be getting some shorts out this month, but coming up very, very soon. But yeah, it's just been a wonderful time with family. And speaking of wonderful, first up, I have someone who, when I think of him, Mr. Wonderful is probably not far off. And he has what I think is one of just the most exceptional things on here. And that is Mr. Neeraj Jafari, the announcement of the Fabric roadmap.
So, everybody was waiting for this roadmap. I have heard customers asking for the roadmap. There it is. Savin puts a link in his blog article where he points us to aks.ms/fabric roadmap. and it shows you all the stuff that is planned for the release in a couple of days, couple of months, and go over each and everything in there. Nicely written article, and that definitely gives you a good ideas when you can plan when to adopt Fabric based on what your requirement is. Um, this this is definitely going to keep on evolving. It's not like stagnant as we get feedbacks from the customers. Product team is working to make sure that all the feedback gets accomplished. But this is something on a high level, the roadmap that you can look at it to plan your deployments.
Very nice. I absolutely love this. This has been something that people have been very excited for. I was excited for how they broke this down by service as well. So you can go in the different services and you can see different quarters of when we have different releases. As a matter of fact, when we do our monthly update with Mr. Bradley Schatt, we'll be going over this roadmap and some of the different service items that they have on the calendar, because this is very, very exciting stuff. I was also, I think I got my links in first this week, and I was excited to see this. So Marthe Monaghan has this really, really great blog breaking down what is OneLake in Microsoft Fabric. This is a very detailed blog, and there's a lot of different points to it. The content, what is OneLake? How can you use File Explorer with your OneLake? The file structure in OneLake, access and permissions, and also what are the benefits of OneLake? This is a wonderful overview to be able to understand and just kind of absorb what is OneLake and how do we use it. And the thing that I want to make sure that people really get is that OneLake is that foundational part of the architecture. We covered this in our pre-con very, very thoroughly, and I thought that she did a beautiful job with this graphic where it shows the new items, including the new data activator. It also shows Databricks and Azure, and how once we get our data in OneLake, because there's been a lot of conversations we had at the pre-con of, well, I'm using Databricks, so I need to quit using Databricks and use Fabric. And what we told folks was, no, if you've already got a robust Databricks type of architecture out there and in place, your customers are used to it, keep using it. It's great. It's a wonderful service. I know I've had fun with it over the years. Josh, Andreas, Neeraj as well. Keep using it. But what we want to do is when we get to that analytical reporting later, we want to get that data into our lakehouse. And there's lots of wonderful ways that we can do that. And once we're in OneLake, we can interact with any service that we really, really want. And I thought that she just did a fabulous job breaking that down. So that was my first pick of the week, and I was happy that I was able to pick that before anybody else did. Speaking of something that makes me happy, though, whenever I see this person's links, it makes me happy and it piques my interest because I know it's going to be something that is new and inventive for me. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Andreas Pilia with the Azure Form Recognizer, adjusting paper forms into a digital pipeline.
Oh, great little article from our good friend. I'm so sorry, Tushar. Thank you for this article. Not only do you give us a great intro to what Form Recognizer, now actually the artist formerly known as Form Recognizer, they're rebranding it as Document Intelligence. But, I don't dislike Document Intelligence. I like Form Recognizer. But
Document Intelligence makes sense. That's a good name. I like that. Yeah, intelligently process our documents.
I feel smarter already.
Me too. So what can Form Recognizer do? It can do.
Oh, we lost Andreas. What can Form Recognizer not do? It can't keep Andreas on this phone call is what it can't do. The man's a wild card. He's everywhere.
It can extract printed and handwritten text, extract barcodes, extract formulas, font styles, reads 160 languages, can extract tables from layouts, checkboxes, can do classification of documents. We even have pre-built models that can help you with analyzing invoices, receipts, business cards, your W-2s, health insurance cards. The list goes on and on. But what I really like about this article, he shows us a prototypical architecture that you might see, when leveraging Form Recognizer. You can have something to ingest those forms, those PDF files, those messages, those images. It will feed it into Form Recognizer. Form Recognizer will do the magic behind the scenes, convert it into some JSON, and then maybe you might want to house that final payload into Cosmos DB for further analysis. He also talks to us about performance. Some performance tidbits you want to take into account. Some costs, which I really found useful. Great article. If you want to get into form recognizer and use easy out of the box, analysis for your PDFs, Word documents, you got something going on, you work in a doctor's office, lean into this.
Absolutely. So, I was going to say you had me at magic. And speaking of magic, this man always brings the magic. And when I saw this, I knew a little bit of shake and bake because there's my magic man right there. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Josh Ludman, bringing Getting Started with Microsoft Azure Data Explorer add-on for Splunk.
Yeah, so you know me with these. I come across these different articles where it's a convergence of bringing some data and intelligence into some of the infrastructure management. And right here, Splunk is a great tool used by a lot of companies around logging, log collection, and things like that. What this does is it's a connector that is open sourced by Microsoft that is available to collect and feed Splunk into Azure Data Explorer. So for folks who use maybe a little bit of log analytics and a little bit of Splunk in their environment, now you can use the same query language across both because Azure Data Explorer's KQL is what's used in log analytics. So what this article does is walks through with you building out and setting up the Azure Data Explorer add-on for Splunk, how to set it up in Splunk, and then get it set up, starting to feed data into Azure Data Explorer. Now, honestly, I jumped the shark and went right into the meat of what the article is about, but it does a great job at the beginning of just giving a level setting for everybody what Azure Data Explorer is good for, the classic use cases, time series data, high volume data, and real-time analytics, all of which are scenarios you're going to look for with Splunk data coming into Azure Data Explorer. And then at the end gives you some great articles, including a link to the GitHub repository where the Azure Data Explorer add-on is open source, so that if you want to add on to it or participate in the OSS community around it, you're more than welcome.
Nice. Great stuff. I really enjoyed that. And also, speaking of something I really enjoy, I was demoing this just this weekend, and I really enjoyed when I saw this man put it in. And of course, it was Mr. Neeraj Jafari with the Semantic Link in Microsoft Fabric, bridging BI and data science. Neeraj, take us home. What's going on?
So Semantic Link, which is like a bridging between BI and data science tools, particularly your gold layer, right? I mean, you want to create your report based on your gold layer, ingest the data into your data science thing and understand what the data is saying about it. Nicely written article by Marcus. He even shows what tools are supported. So for example, that architecture diagram that is showing it up, but Semantic Layer now supports Pandas, Spark APIs, and he just walks them one by one into your article. He shows you examples how to do that whole thing, how to ingest your gold layer data into your data science part of it, into Fabric, and then consume into your Power BI layer. You can even use DAX scripting. So he's also showing an example how to use the DAX scripting along with.
Whoa. Don't bury the lead here. I was going to say that is DAX scripting in the Python notebook. Wow.
So that was the beauty of the whole thing. I was like, wow, this is like something one step above what you're doing on your Power BI side of it. So
very
that
nice.
is, I think, now supported in there. I think it is in public preview right now. So people would be able to access it out.
I was going to say that is some good stuff. We're definitely going to have to end up doing a video on this. This is going to be some fun to look at and to be able to play around with. This is definitely a link that we want to make sure and highlight. Really, really wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, we always love it when we find new content. And one of the things I did was I saw this post on LinkedIn and I got very excited because it is episode 29, execute an ADF pipeline via a REST API call. And if there's an episode 29, there's a lot of earlier episodes as well. And a lot of people are very interested in pipelines, how they learn pipelines and how they can grow. And so Anun Kamari, this is episode 29 and this is her content, and I was watching it. She does a fabulous job walking through what a REST API pipeline is, how to be able to call it, how to be able to utilize it. And one of the things I would say is go take a look at her video, but go take a look at her other videos, especially if you are looking to be able to learn some Microsoft Fabric, some data pipeline in ADF content. This is going to help you out. And you may have people on your team who are looking for that kind of content. Goodness knows we all have to learn new things and shift gears occasionally. And this was just great content. Again, definitely please go check her out and make sure and check out the rest of the series as well. Good stuff. All right. So speaking of good stuff, of course, I have up next. Again, fascinating and not something I would have typically considered, but what a great read. It's the one and only Mr. Andreas Pilia Taking a Leap, Unleashing the Power of Azure CLI.
Oh, this is not shake and bake. This is now El Diablo, because you want to learn some of the tricks that Nadev points out here in this article when it comes to Azure CLI. Now, in the last 2-3 weeks, I've been working on some bicep scripts and Azure CLI scripts. And this guy finally, hits it home and makes it nice and clear for when it comes to using JMES path. I think all of us, hopefully you guys have stumbled upon this, but what I really love about this article is he points out, he takes out a simple AZ CLI command, saying, hey, give me all the information for Kubernetes cluster. He uses that as an example, and it spits out all this huge JSON output, and you're like, whoa, I don't want all that. Then he breaks it down to a table. He's like, well, I really don't need everything that is in the table. And then he uses JMES path to pinpoint exactly what he wants to get out of that payload, so you can extract anything that you particularly want. But then down below in the article, he shows us how to break it down, how to read a property, how to read nested properties, how to read arrays, how to do filters, functions, and I love this article. Best article I've seen when it comes to JMES path with Azure CLI. Good job.
Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely amazing. Speaking of absolutely amazing, the next person, of course, up is absolutely amazing. So is their article, and so is the person who wrote it. I'm, of course, talking about the amazing Creating a Kubernetes Application for Azure SQL Database by our co-host from the past weekend, Mr. Buck Woody, from our Fabric Precon. Josh, take it away. What has Buck done here?
Yeah, so honestly, I was the last one to put in my links today, and I laughed all the way to the bank because I saw still no one had put this one in. So I totally took advantage of it. Thank you, all of you, for not doing this one. So this is a great article where Buck, works through helping to kind of bridge the gap with, especially a lot of developers. He takes a basic, simple Kubernetes application and just walks us through how to connect it and use it with Azure SQL Database. It's a basic Python application using Flask, nothing major, but it's just a good how-to to kind of bridge that gap again between, our friends, the developers, and how to use Azure SQL Database. Very simple thing here, can be used in any kind of code that you're doing in Python. It gives you all the links to all the documentation, all that stuff, and even the code itself that he uses. So it's a good article, and of course, top end quality as we all expect and know to expect from Mr. Woody. So I loved it. Wanted to share it here.
I was going to say, in a bit of an Easter egg to something I'm going to talk about in a little while. One of the things that we noted when he was here with us this week, and we talked about this, is there's a member of the community that he had actually execute this and test it, Mr. Ben Weissman, when they were over at SQLConf. And Ben went through there, got it, made sure everything was working, and he said it just worked perfect based off of Buck's instructions, no notes on anything to change. So the nice thing is, literally, Buck did this from end to end. So if you are looking for experience deploying a Kubernetes application, it's going to be a simple application, but something that you can hit with a SQL backend, go check this out, because this is a wonderful example of learning that we have in the community.
Buck strikes again.
Absolutely. Buck strikes again. Buck for the win. Speaking of winning, well, this was huge. I saw this one and I got my links in first, and I saw that Neeraj had this one, and I went, wow, what a coup d'etat. Not only did he get the roadmap, but he has announcing the Data Activator public preview. Yeah.
So James writes about how you can get Data Activator activated in your environment. If you are a Fabric user who's using it up, there are shows how to enable the Data Activator. What Data Activator is basically getting all your automatic alerts and actions from Fabric into one big tool that can give out alerts based on your CPU usage, your storage usage, all sorts of alerting tools that you can bring it through using the Data Activator. It's right now in public preview. How what it does is monitors, detects, and acts on it. So basically, you can get notifications what's going on in your environment. Something everybody wants it, right? I mean, to make your environment safe and secure, you want to make sure what's going on. If there is any big jump on your usage and all this stuff, you want to know it, right? When you're spending the money. So Data Activator is now in public preview. Go use it up and let us know if you have any issues.
Well, and I was going to say that the whole Data Activator thing is so cool because if you think about it, right, we've all had reports before, and we put things within reports, and we'll color code, and we'll have change color variants, things to alert us when we're looking in the report. But this actually adds a workflow to your report to be able to have a triggered communication, an event based off the data flowing into your report. And one of the examples they use is tracking the humidity in packages and being able to understand if you're getting something from real-time sensors, if that's going to affect that those packages, being able to get an alert that is then actionable in a way that you would have people on the ground doing things because of this. That whole concept, being able to take that queue-based messaging, is very cool. Josh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, for me, I got excited. So, you know, Brad, you, Neeraj, Dan, been very, much deeper connected into Fabric as it's come to be than I have. So honestly, when I saw this in the list, I wanted to be in this conversation to figure out what Activator was. And just seeing it, and y'all know for me, I'm all about automations and kicking stuff off. Activator, that's my sweet spot right there. For me, you guys talk about One Lake and maybe Lake House and all the great things. Activator, I'm looking at and going, ooh, that's the one that gets me going. That's exciting because queuing stuff off, automating it, whether it be through Power Automate flows or even third-party systems. I haven't looked at it yet, but look, that reads to me like something maybe that has REST API actions that it could do. The sky's the limit there. That's awesome.
Well, and it's setting those alerts and sending alerts based off of conditions within the report. So if you think about this, right? So we've got One Lake, we've got our direct lake query against it. What we'll be able to do is feed real-time data sources, refresh those reports at the rate of the real-time data that we're ingesting, and then fire off actionable alerts, perhaps to an email, perhaps to a Power App group. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do with this, but you're now, over in SQL Database, we've got the capability to make REST API calls so we can have action based off of data events occurring within our database. Now we have the capability with Data Activator to bring that to our reporting, where we are ingesting, we are reporting, we have these aggregated data sets. We know that this is good. We know if this is bad, and we're able to actually trigger something because of that. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, absolutely agree. It's so cool that once again, the power of Fabric, right? It's only going to get bigger, and it's amazing. Speaking of amazing, when I've got a good friend, we were just talking about him a second ago, Mr. Ben Weissman. And Ben is one of the foremost experts, I would say, outside of Microsoft on Kubernetes and on SQL. And Ben has a course on LinkedIn Learning, deploying SQL Server on Linux containers and Kubernetes. There are a lot of different shops. We have different customers that we work with where part of what they are doing is they are deploying SQL in environments that traditionally were not SQL environments. And if you are looking at how to do this, or you're looking for training for some people on your team for how to do this and how to understand this, look no further. Head over to the LinkedIn learning session. And I was going to say right down here, you can see here's our good buddy, Ben Weissman. Ben is absolutely fantastic. And this is going to be just a phenomenal course. I saw him post about this on LinkedIn, and I wanted to grab that and share it because I thought this is just a wonderful resource for anybody looking to go down this route. Speaking of, it's about to go down because we went down a particular direction. Well, next up, we've got somebody who always brings the big stuff. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Andreas Pilia, and he is introducing Azure Business Continuity Guide. What, Andreas, what do we got here?
This is up there. I mean, Sol Dolgan, he hit a home run. This is up there with the Great Bambino, the Sultan of SWAT, the Colossus of Clout, the King of Crash, the Behemoth of Bust, the Bambino, the Home Run King, the Big Bam, the Bam, the Babe, the Big Fella. Okay, you guys got to watch.
We're not talking. I was going to say we're not talking about Neeraj right now. I mean,
oh, that's right.
I was confused. What is he talking about?
Yeah, Neeraj was like, I hear all my different names.
The article is up there. It's a home run, and why? Because they put out a great Excel-driven Azure Business Continuity Guide that not only gives you documentation, the important concepts, recommended templates, examples, but what I really love is in phase 2, they point out if you have a disaster, that goes on in an availability zone or a region, they point out and they define the automated and or manual failover activities that will occur to recover. And in the documentation, pulling out those nuggets of what is actually going to happen during a failover or in a recovery, they're actually a little bit cumbersome to find out about. They're getting easier now with customer managed failovers that is in preview in ADLS Gen 2. It's going to become a lot easier. But what I love about that is that it's going to actually detail what's going to happen during that manual failover process. A lot of customers ask for that, and it's going to make not only your job easier, but our job easier.
Yeah, this is a passion project of mine, because for years when I worked with the Army or I worked with the Obama administration, and heck, even when we were with public supermarkets, all of them had an extremely robust business continuity plan, because as we integrate IT to things, if the IT systems were to fail, if somehow there were a disaster that fundamentally takes IT out of the picture, we have to continue to operate. The Army doesn't get to sit around and go, well, the apps are down. Sorry. The Office of the President doesn't get to do the same thing. And if you think about it, when I went to Publix, one of the things that I found that was absolutely amazing, grocery stores, the exact same thing. In a disaster, what do people need? People need water. People need food. People need to know that they can get these fundamental things that they can feed their families. And so in events of disasters, it is critical for anybody who's in the business of being able to supply the general public that you continue to operate even without IT. And what is the workaround plan for that? And often people don't think that large. And you have to sit there and you have to, because you have to go at the point in time that we're at X, what are we fundamentally doing? And then you work your way down. And then there are places where IT comes into place. IT has a plan, but there are times where that plan depends on people, boots on the ground, and how do we continue to go and make up for things after the fact. And so I love it that it goes to that level. Great link. Fantastic. And of course, last but certainly not least, number one in our hearts and our minds, it's Mr. Josh Ludman, bringing the whole thing home with understanding the difference in using different large language models, a step-by-step guide.
Right. Yeah. So this was a great article I came across from John. John actually goes through, 3 of the most popular LLMs right now, GPT-2, Llama 2, and DALL-E V1, and really goes through in Azure, not only what they are, and who they're from, which is important to know, but then also how do you deploy them, and walks through each individual model. This is how you deploy GPT-2. This is how you deploy Llama. This is how you do DALL-E, and then goes through each one of the milestones. And I love how he puts it as learning milestones, because they're really project milestones too when you're looking at deploying a language model of any kind, whether it's an LLM or not, is going in and going, okay, which model do I want? Understanding models. Milestone 2, understanding model deployment. That's important too. That's the next thing you got to do once you pick the model, tune and deploy the model. Then milestone 3 is understanding the integration with web applications. So milestone 3 and 4 are different use cases, whether you want to deploy it as a web application, or in milestone 4, he actually walks through the integration with the Power Platform. So that's another good one as well. For me, I loved it. It's, kind of simplifies the difficult, right? And okay, that's great. There's these different models. Where are they from? How do I deploy them? How do I use them? It's just a great article for me.
Excellent. Well, I was going to say that was fantastic, guys. Wonderful roundup. Dan, we hope you feel better. It's time that we wrap things up. We are in that midpoint, that beginning point of the fall. There's a lot of big conferences coming up, and they all seem to be scheduled for the exact same week. We have had our future data driven fun. We have had our fun over at SQL Saturday Orlando. But Josh, when we hit the week before Thanksgiving, real quick, tell the folks, where are we going to be?
Oh, we're going to be at the beautiful Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center on the beautiful grounds of Universal Studios Orlando, where I plan on sneaking over to Voodoo Donuts at least one morning for that lovely maple donut with a strip of bacon on top. Take it away.
I was going to say, you don't want to miss a thing. We are going to Live 360. We have this amazing course that we have put together. We have taught. There's a wonderful GitHub repo on it. I'm going to be there. Josh is going to be there. Neeraj is going to be there. Buck Woody's going to be there. As a matter of fact, Daniel Taylor and Bradley Shatter are also going to help us proctor in the room, because we have so much to teach and so much hands-on learning for people to be able to get with Microsoft Fabric. So if you're looking for how to understand things, how to be able to understand from the data engineering, but how to get some of that hands-on experience and ask your question to Microsoft, look no further. We will be there and we will be on the ground. Our pre-con is on Monday, and then we have sessions that are on Tuesday and also on Wednesday. I believe there's at least networking events and maybe some panel stuff that we may be on Thursday, but you want to meet up with us. It's going to be a wonderful time the week before Thanksgiving. Perfect place to bring your family. And on top of that, your room card is also a fast pass for 2 parks. I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than that. Gingerbread house, trains, all that good stuff.
Sign me up to ride Back to the Future.
Ooh, the Simpsons now. It's the Simpsons. But still fun, still good. I love the Simpsons.
No, Simpsons is not fun. No,
Simpsons is a lot of fun. I got to tell you, one of my favorite rides, because they show Simpsons episodes while you're in line. And so it's the only line that kids, when they get out of line and they have to go to another part of the park, they're like, oh, I was like, wow, they should really show Simpsons episodes in every line. People would be very happy. All right. Is there anything I'm missing, guys?
No. I think we're good, man.
I think that's it. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. For Josh Ludman, Andreas Pilia, Neeraj Shafari, I'm Bradley Ball. Thank you so much. Be good to one another and take care out there. Goodbye, everybody.
Blood in circulation, one step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you